Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last QHHT Hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking questions I prepared in advance of the session, and when I refer to me, I'm referring to myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th. Before I start reading, I'd like to thank you as always for subscribing to my channel, liking and commenting on this video. It really does make a difference, not only from an algorithm perspective, but also just makes me happy. So thank you for that. All right, I'm going to start reading here. Lorrayne, you say we will change what we don't like in our personal lives within the confines of the game. But we already don't like stuff now, and we are not changing it for ourselves, even when we believe we want to at a human level. It seems that the key is to, first of all, know what the higher self wants and what it's after. How do we know? Not knowing and being at odds with what our higher self wants is a major cause of frustration and separation from our higher self. Also, our higher self has always been able to change reality. If our higher self wanted us to win the lottery, we would have. How is it going to be different in the future? If I want to win the lottery and my higher self doesn't, then tough luck. I'm not going to win, whether I know I can change my reality or not. So to clarify this question before I share the answer from the 25th, when I wrote this question, I was referring to the fact that during the sober time, we're here to realize that we are Neo. That's what the 25th is called, the spirit of time. The idea behind this project is that we realize we are Neo and that we create our own reality. And so while we always say that we believe this, we didn't really truly believe it until very recently, and I know that that's changing for many of us. And the point is that we've been told that in the future, of course there is no future, we know this, but in our next incarnations, or we don't even have to incarnate, but our next lifetimes within the multiverse, within the game, we are going to be able to remember this information when we need to. So we are going to be able to create our reality the way we like to. But my question was, we can already create our reality. How come we're not doing it now? Many of us are suffering, and some people are suffering physically, and we're still not creating our reality. We're still not changing our reality on the outside at 3D level. And they've explained, of course, to us that it's because we want to keep the show in place and we want to feel like we're part of the game. So my question is, so why would we actually change things in the future if we want to be part of a game? So here's the answer from the 25th. Me. Yes, so we understand where this question comes from. Claire is still fighting the idea that we are here to learn. And again, learn as in the higher self already knows. So the higher self is not learning anything. But we are here to learn consciously that we create our reality, and that's fine. And so she says, yeah, but I mean, I'm not really seeing it. Sure, we change the polarity here and it does feel different. So it's not just at higher self level that we change the polarity. We can go inside and realize the polarity is very much changed. We also see the truth trickling through at a 3D level. And the apex will be, it will climax into the recall. So we're going to have actual proof that we have changed things here. So that's fine. But Claire is worried that, yeah, but it doesn't matter what I want. Again, this idea of separation between you and the higher self doesn't matter what I want because I want to improve my reality even now. I know, I'm aware that I'm creating my reality, but my higher self doesn't want me to change reality in the way that I want to, as if I'm not my higher self. Again, that's the idea of separation. But there is a difference here. Right now, we are dealing with so much and we don't want to rebuild anything. We're already sad. We're not interested in, for example, using the same example as in the question, in winning the lottery. Because winning the lottery would involve us having to think about 3D things like, what am I going to do with all this money? Where am I going to put it? Basically, that would take us completely off course of what we're focusing on, the work that we're actually doing, especially if we're doing this work at a conscious level. There's also a difference whether you're doing this in your dreams, but then the rest of the day you're focused on your job or whatever it is. So you're more 3D in that way. And we have said many of us are doing this work differently. There is no right or wrong way of doing this work. And so in this sense, this is why, for example, Claire does not allow herself to, because again, her higher self is her. Her higher self is not allowing her to win the lottery right now or to create other changes that Claire might like. For example, I would like a bigger house, or I would like a yard, or I would like this and I would like that. These are changes. Again, we're not building here. So it was interesting because even this morning, somebody posted something in the Telegram group. It was an article from Reddit, a post from Reddit, where the person was saying, over the last year and a half, I've tried to find a job. I've tried to start new hobbies, new passions, whatever. I think it's a great idea. Get excited for, a split second there, and all of a sudden the motivation goes away. Now, there are only two options here. Either the person is an NPC, and we don't want to comment on that because it doesn't matter if the specific person is an NPC or not. But the motivation has happened to many people, including Clea. In fact, including you, Lorrayne. We talked about this a few sessions ago, where basically even Clea was wondering, like, I've lost all this joie de vivre, and will this even come back? I'm not even excited about going to New Earth anymore. I'm just not excited about anything. Yes, this has happened to everybody. Whether you're still here or not, it's happened to everybody. Why? Because we have detached. It doesn't matter what happens on this planet anymore. A lot of things we are keeping in place in our personal reality to pretend that we're still here. We're still part of the game. But we definitely don't want to build anything new. We don't want to start anything. Now, it doesn't mean that you decide tomorrow you're going to go try something new. Say you're going to try playing badminton. Enjoy, go. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be interested in anything or that no one is interested in doing anything new. However, you will notice a lot of people, and Clea is thinking, for example, for a boyfriend who's been wanting to change careers or change jobs for a while. He's been approached by so many people, and all these things have happened to where he's not able to change jobs. But why is that? Because his higher self doesn't want him to tackle anything new. His higher self wants him in exactly what he's doing, which is very routine for him, so he can focus on other things. So this is happening across the board. So yes, we do need to be aligned with our higher self. However, in the future, and we say future, quote unquote, so we understand each other. We all know there is no future. In our next experiences, we will remember we can change our reality. We will be able to improve our reality. Our higher self will have no issue with that, as long as the improvement fits with the outside reality that other essences are experiencing. We already said we're not going to be flying all of a sudden if nobody else flies around us, because then what's the point of being in that game if you don't want to play by those rules? However, at that point, if you want to improve your reality, you want a bigger house because you're about to have a baby or whatever it is, you would really enjoy a bigger house for whatever reason, your higher self has no reason to block you from doing that. And you will remember, hey, I can make this happen. And again, we're not talking about the law of attraction here. We're laughing. We're literally saying you create your reality. All of a sudden, the opportunity will come up. We know for the higher self, everything is simple because everything is holographic. You can create anything you want. The reason we don't want our reality to look so different here is because, again, it fits with our idea of the game. The things here don't go that smoothly. The things here are hard. It all goes hand in hand, right? You don't want anything too crazy, and especially right now. Right now, we're on our way out. We don't want anything new, wildly new coming in. For example, none of us is all of a sudden going to say, I'm getting interested in chemistry and I'm going to make a new world-class discovery. It's just too much, too deep, too late, basically. Again, we're at the end of the overtime. And we don't mean to say this is going to end anytime soon. This is really up to you. But we're saying we're in the overtime and we're in the latter part of the overtime already. So yeah, that's the reason. So yeah, do you need to be, Claire's worried because she goes, I want to change my reality now. I know I created, why can't I? There is a reason. And while you think, yeah, but why can't I improve my physical reality this way or that way? We already explained this at length. There are reasons why each one of us is keeping our personal shell in place, looking a certain way. So we're not going to go into that. We've actually had multiple sessions talking about this because there was a lot of frustration related to this. But the main point of this question was, I need to know what my higher self wants. So yeah, I know I am my higher self. I know I can create reality, but I really don't know what my higher self wants. So I might want X, Y, Z, but my higher self doesn't want it. So tough luck for me. That's the gist of this question. It's not going to be, there's going to be much more connection basically between how we experience ourselves within a game and our higher self. Doesn't mean that there's going to be no veil, because we already said within the matrix, with the exception of New Earth, there's always going to be a veil. But you will be much more connected to your higher self. We've also said you're never going to be fully asleep again, whatever we consider to be asleep here, which means disassociated, considering that everything is the way we see it, and that's all there is to it. And so in that sense, we'll be much more able to connect and say, I would like my life to be this way because I'm really not having fun with the current reality that I have. I enjoyed it. That's why I created it. I got what I wanted out of it. Now this makes me unhappy. I'm moving on to this other reality. We'll be able to do that much more freely than we are right now. So this, to basically wrap up the answer to this question, this particular snippet of time, let's call it, what we are experiencing right now, it is not indicative of what we'll be able to do in, again, quote unquote, future incarnations, because we have certain goals here. They're different from just changing our outer shell, our personal shell, willy-nilly, because we're just not having fun. We're not having fun. We're not had fun here for a long time. That's not really our concern right now. Our concern right now is to keep certain things in place because everything else is changing so quickly around us. We've changed everything here on this planet. So in order to somehow make it look like this is still the same game we're playing before, we got to keep some things in place. If Clea all of a sudden starts, moving into a mansion, winning $500 million, whatever it is, this is going to look like it's going to be mayhem, basically, besides the time. We don't even have time for all this anyway. We're laughing. Hopefully we won't be here that much longer. So it really, really doesn't make sense. So Claire might want certain things, reality to change. And she might be able to change a few things here and there that do make a positive difference for her. But again, we've even said there are people here that are still in physical pain, even on a daily basis. And they are not changing that because it would be too obvious, too drastic of a change. So we are, and we said this before, we are very much wanting things to kind of be the same. We're not saying exactly the same, but kind of in the same ballpark as where we were before. Then again, we have people like you, Lorrayne. You've had a big benefit from the surgery you've done. Your higher self has allowed for some positive changes to happen in your life. But again, really, which is a big deal to you, of course, we understand because it was very painful for you before what you were experiencing physically. But at the same time, it does not relate to the fact that your life's completely changed on the outside. It's simply related to the fact that your higher self, especially because of your newfound conscious awareness, because of all the work you're doing, your higher self decided it's okay for this to happen. She's going to have confirmation of the work that she's doing, but she's not going to think all of a sudden, oh, I'm on New Earth and I can do whatever I want now. See, there's always a fine line there that the higher self is keeping. It's always walking on a tightrope, making sure that everything makes sense at a 3D level. And that's why you use surgery to make this happen. It's not just that you willed it yourself into having this happen. It's still from the outside. It looked like you going to get a solution from the external world. Lorrayne, thank you. I still think winning the lottery would be fun. Even if it were for just one day, it would be fun. And they were both laughing, 25th and Lorrayne. Okay, in the last session you said, we don't want to take this society down and rebuild it at a 3D level. We would have to start from scratch. We'd have to turn this into a desert and start from scratch because even our houses are not acceptable. Our houses are toxic in many ways. But if we were to stay here longer, couldn't we use a reset to change everything overnight? So it looks like the 3D chambers and we don't have to physically rebuild things? Or are we trying to hold on to the same game and are pretty much done using resets in the multiverse since we saw what they cause? Me. They were laughing. So the 25th was laughing because of the part about we're being scared by the resets. So yes, that's a good question. So let's split it up so we can answer. Could we use resets? Yes, we could. We came up with the idea of resets. We know how to do them, besides the fact that if one person knows how to do it, we all know how to do them. So would we use resets? We have. That's why we're laughing. We have become very weary of using resets because it really does not allow for our evolution. And therefore, it kind of bypasses and causes, we have learned, it causes consequences that we hadn't really planned for or anticipated. Because again, we do have a lot of trouble with jumps in vibration. That said, we have already said it's not necessarily out of the question. It wouldn't necessarily be out of the question because we already said we have rebalanced here. What does not look rebalanced is just a shell, meaning all the cities look exactly the same. Government is still there. Pharmaceutical companies are there. Military is still there. The medical system is still there. All these very dark systems. So it doesn't look that way. So technically, you could clean it up overnight by making the outer shell look the way that the polarity is, basically reflect what the polarity is. And the polarity is rebalanced. So could we do that? Yes, but we won't do that. And the reason we won't do it is because it would make no sense. You create a reset, and of course, everybody has to support, is going to participate in the reset. You create a reset when you have a civilization that's wanting to change something, like we're here, we decided as a civilization in this game, let's just basically reshuffle the board. But there's only like 5 of us here, and we're laughing. We're joking, obviously, but it's a handful of us here. We're not going to create a reset so we can keep playing with the shells, with the NPCs in this game. We don't want to play in this game with NPCs. There's less and less of us here. So yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to rebuild. We could. So to answer the question, specifically, we could use resets. Of course, there is no rule against using resets. Again, we don't necessarily like the idea. But say that we were still all here, we could decide to use a reset and immediately change polarity. Basically, it would be like what our brothers and sisters have done, the ones who went to 3D chambers. One day they were here, the next day they were in a 3D chamber, and don't even remember what happened here. They think this happened to their ancestors. We could do that. But I mean, why would we not have gone to the 3D chambers then? It would have been a lot easier. This is not what we chose to do. And by we, I mean the people that are here now, the handful of people that are here now. We chose to take this down and actually physically, as in not just at essence level, and move. Even though we're not taking our bodies technically, those of us going to New Earth, we decided to materially, we should say, that's a better word, move to a new place where we can have the reality that we want, as opposed to turning this reality into what we want. We're not going to turn this place into a 3D chamber, into the equivalent of a 3D chamber. We're not going to turn this place into New Earth. We decided a long time ago we would take this place down, because if we had not decided we would take this place down, we might not even be talking about all these things. We might have still kept going with everything getting darker and darker. We don't know, right? We don't know what would have happened. This is how we played the game. And so really, we are now trying to overlap 2 different realities. We are past the time where it would even make sense to do a reset. And we don't need to do a reset to change the polarity. We've already done that. So do we want the cities to look different? What's the point? The whole point of us moving to New Earth is that we keep this consciousness. We remember everything. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a reset here, and all of a sudden you're going to think that the stuff that we're talking about, the pandemic, happened 50 years ago. And then the day after, you're going to move to New Earth. And then what are you going to remember? Now, of course, on New Earth, you have no veil. You would know everything. But you see, it makes no sense. Why even live in a reset situation for a week, a month, or whatever it is? Like you said, maybe it would be fun. It's like winning the lottery on the last day for one day, for fun. They were laughing. But yeah, no, we decided this is not how we're going to do it. We're just leaving this place and moving on. Lorrayne. And this is her question. Could this planet become other than 3-dimensional and become New Earth? Because we offloaded, for lack of a better term, the majority of the essences have gone to other places. Could this be reset into New Earth? And I thought this was an amazing question. So I'm looking forward to sharing the answer with you. The 25th. Okay, so there are several layers to the question you asked. So this planet could be reset to basically reflect balanced polarity. So it could be a really great place. It could be like the 3D chambers, okay? So yes, if that's what you consider to be New Earth, like a lot of people in the Intel or in the New Age spirituality communities, that's what they think of New Earth. They think of the way that this should have been from the beginning. They still don't conceive necessarily that none of this is going to really be on New Earth, because we don't want this anymore. Even at 3D level, even as an optimal 3D level, like again in the 3D chambers, this is not really the experience we want to have. We specifically were chosen to go to New Earth. They do not want that experience. Otherwise, we would have gone to the 3D chambers. So could this have been changed into a 3D chamber type of planet? Yes, it can. It absolutely can. Can this become New Earth? Again, depends on what you mean by New Earth. Now, it cannot become New Earth for the simple reason New Earth, the planet, already exists. But this could become beautiful old Earth or happy old Earth. And sure, it could be the equivalent of what a lot of people think it's a new planet, it's a new society, it's a new civilization, it's a new world. And so we could call it New Earth, whatever. It's just a name at that point. It's just terminology that we're using. But you asked specifically another question. You said, could this not be basically, can we take any planet and turn it into a completely different thing to where, for example, now this is not a 3D planet anymore? No. Now, okay, when we say can we, are we capable of it? Yes, this is holographic. So we do whatever we want. However, now let's look at it from the way that the matrix works. even at higher self level, we have rules within the matrix that we honor. We have created planet Earth using a certain type of vibration. That's why we call it 3D, as opposed to saying that, we're in 9D, 11D, whatever it is. We call this 3D. Okay, we call it 3D because we already, and we spoke about this previously because Clea asked, this place, we think of 3D as being concrete, we can touch it. But other planets, you can touch them too, and they're not 3D. So what does 3D mean? We already said 3D has nothing to do with how concrete things are, because even the aliens in 9D, they use spaceships where they can knock their hand. For example, they can kick the wall and it will hurt, okay? So those things are also concrete. So what you think of or what we think of is 3D. But they're not 3D because different things are possible. The vibration is different. So there's a different energy, and therefore different things are possible. Different things have even the ability to come into being. Whereas here in 3D, it's just rules of the game. So certain things, the energy is a certain way. So certain things are possible, other things we don't allow. And so for that reason, yes, in absolute terms, could we do whatever we wanted with this planet? Yes. But let's stay within the realm of what we want to allow ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to do. We could recreate, something that we could call New Earth here. It would not be the New Earth that we have waiting for us, nothing like that. We already said New Earth, even though it's 7D, it's going to have consciousness close to the 25th, et cetera, et cetera. It's a different type of energy. So we do not have that type of energy here. Just because the energy is rebalanced here, this is still a dense planet because it's a 3D planet. We've created this planet to be 3D. It could be a happy 3D, a positive 3D, a more positive 3D, but it would never be actually New Earth in the sense of what we've described New Earth to be. So again, I thought this was a fantastic question, and I hope you enjoyed the answer from the 25th as I did. And thank you, as always, for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.